Pull yourself up a chair and join us at the Energy Roundtable.
Welcome to the Energy Roundtable. On this week's edition, my sparring partner, she's got her sleeves rolled up and she's ready to duel. So, Lisa, welcome.
Thank you, Matt. How you doing today?
I'm great, and how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
I love your background. Biogas is my first love, technology speaking, and nice biogas project in the background. So let's jump right in. I got a first article. The article is from smartenergydecisions.com, and it is a Bitcoin related article. Bitcoin is in the news all the time these days for a variety of reasons, whether it be Elon Musk's appearance on Saturday Night Live or the rise and fall of the different Bitcoin currencies. This article is Greenidge, so it's not a typo. I thought it was like Green Bridge or Green Ridge, but it's Greenidge Bitcoin mining to be carbon neutral in June. And so what they're committing to is that by June 1st, they will be carbon neutral via offsets. So not via renewable energy necessarily directly, but via paying for offsets, they will be carbon neutral. And what's interesting about this is that the secret, the kind of the dirty laundry on Bitcoin mining, which requires a lot of electricity for computational power, is that most of that electricity is not, it's cheap, but it's not clean. And so what these folks are saying is they're going to get ahead of that, and they're going to be providing a green, zero emissions Bitcoin mining capacity. So very, very interesting step forward. Any thoughts, Lisa?
Yeah, excuse me, Matt. Yeah, I give that a thumbs up. I think that's a pretty good article, especially because some of the, we'll call it geographical regions of some of these Bitcoin miners are in places where the power realistically isn't very clean. And, it might not be very clean for 5 or 10 years. So if they're going to be able to, purchase carbon credits and still make themselves, hit that carbon neutral goal, I think that's a good news story.
Yeah, I'm a thumbs up. I'm following this whole Bitcoin and crypto and blockchain world very closely. And this is definitely the black mark on the industry as the rest of the world moves to a greener world. So it'll be interesting to see how the world changes with more and more decisions like this. So very, very cool. All right, give us your first one.
Well, the reason I've got the biogas background here or backdrop is because it kind of fits in nicely to my article today. So it's customers can now opt up to green the gas supply. This was an article that was all over the news with Enbridge. This particular version that I have is from the Canadian Business Journal. But basically, it's about a voluntary program that Enbridge is putting on that's allowing customers to support the transition to clean energy future. And basically it's, they're able to contribute $2 a month as a cost-effective option to help offset the increased cost to acquire carbon neutral renewable natural gas. So at first glance, I give this a thumbs up, but I also kind of give it a thumbs down only because I think it's great that you can opt into this program. It's going towards something greener and, but I think the acceleration of the renewable natural gas space here in Ontario specifically needs to get fast forwarded a little bit. I think we're a little bit behind other jurisdictions from a global perspective. I would love to have the opportunity to actually purchase that renewable natural gas molecule for my house. And I know there's industrial customers that are just, waiting for that to become available as well. So it's a thumbs up because I think it's going in the right direction, but a thumbs down because I think that they need to fast forward it, especially to keep up with this whole electrification trend.
Well, as is often in the case on the roundtable, you're far too nice. On the story itself, it's a big thumbs down because you're 100% right. The $2 a month, you can't even buy a coffee for $2 anymore in today's day and age, depending on where you buy your coffee. And it's going to be pittance. And the reality is, there are a lot of people who want to, if we were talking $2 a GJ, okay, that's still a drop in the bucket. But, $2 a gigajoule, $2 an MMBTU, that's a little bit more aggressive. And you're still going to get lots of people who are going to sign up for that. $2 a month, it's like, unless they're forcing it on everybody, that's different. But if it's voluntary at $2 a month, I'm a thumbs down for, lack of stretching us and offering an opportunity for us to be stretched.
Yeah.
So, and it's an interesting parlay because, I think the low hanging fruit as it relates to conversion away from fossil based fuel is going to be in the transportation space. And my next article is an article from it's a bunch of news wires out there that carried this article. I saw it first in the Financial Post, which is the subset of the National Post, one of our national newspapers here up in Canada. The article headline is First Student, which is a bus operating company, and Lion Electric announced largest zero-emission school bus order of 260 buses. So First Student, which is a large multinational, I think North American, they're ordering these buses that are all lithium ion. And so Lion Electric, I kind of know them a little bit. They were fused with the SPAC, and I know kind of some of the guys involved, and I think it's Quebec based. I think it's Montreal based or Ottawa based. I should get that right here. Yeah, they operate in Quebec, so the buses will actually be used in Quebec, and so big deal here. And I mean, transportation fuel, low hanging fruit. If it's Quebec and it's renewable energy, big thumbs up for this story as far as I'm concerned.
Yep. No, I totally agree. I think, we really need to kind of push the boundaries there. And I think we're starting to kind of move in that direction, which is great. So, no, that's awesome.
One thing I was trying to think, and I don't know nobody's in Ontario is riding the school bus these days, but did you ride a school bus to school?
I did. Yeah. I did up until I was like, I don't know if it was 18 years old when I first got my car, something like that. But no, I was younger than that. I think it was 17 years old. But yes, I did up until then.
I walked to school for all of my elementary career because we lived around the corner. I took a bus in high school. I was trying to think, how would this change the experience of riding in a bus? It'll be interesting to see, like, are there derivative benefits to the kids? I mean, they're not going to be sucking on fumes indirectly. That's positive. But does it change the experience of riding the school bus? I don't know. It'll be fun to see that kind of stuff. So.
Well, I guess it depends on what the kids' values are. Maybe they're it makes them happier to get to school every day because they know they're doing something better for the environment. The pickup, they'll be glued to the back of their seats more often because the pickup with the torque will help quite a bit. Well, that leads us into the next article. So this is in the business section. It is an article actually that's a little bit older now, but it's from May the 10th from the Toronto Star. It was written by Tim Nash, and it's titled, "It's Past Time to Switch to Sustainable Investments." And basically, it's talking about mutual and ETF funds or exchange-traded funds that are committed to financial and sustainability performance and environmental, social, and governance commitments. They basically are suggesting that the funds are actually doing quite well. And, a number of different corporations have basically pledged to meet net zero by 2050. And so 2020 saw a launch of record number of new sustainable investment funds, including new exchange traded funds from BMO, BlackRock, and Wealthsimple. There's a huge list here. Canadian, US, global, and international equity firms. BMO, as I said, there's RBC. There's Invesco, Fidelity Group. But what I thought was most interesting is just the number of investors that are part of the newer or rather younger generation that are increasingly wanting their investments to align with not just their financial goals, but their values as well. And it made me think a little bit about how quickly we've transitioned in the course of 1 or 2 years to where we are today. And also made me think of a story that a client and I were talking about the other day. We were on the line talking about, how, electric vehicles are coming out, hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, and just the space and how fast things are moving. And he said, well, when you think about it, we transitioned from horse and buggy to automobiles, like everybody adopting them in basically a decade. And I think that these types of investments, this younger generation is really going to fast track or move this whole energy transition in a much faster forward looking pace than if they were, because if they're concerned about investments, they're going to be concerned maybe about that electric school bus, or they're going to be concerned about going to a university that is doing better for the environment. And where does the younger generation stop? I'm talking to a cheese manufacturer yesterday, and part of the reason they're interested in biogas is they know that the younger people want to buy a cheese from a environmentally sustainable company, right? So I think that's quite interesting, and I think it's going to fast forward things even faster than what they have been, at the rate that they've been moving so far.
Yeah, and let's be grateful that we have the luxury that we can think this way, right? Like, the other dynamic that a lot of people don't talk about, I think, is that, when the economy is as good and as strong as it is, we have a little bit of extra juice to because you're paying a premium for this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we are paying more. When you talk about that transition from horses to cars, I love the Henry Ford quote that says, if I asked my customers what they wanted, they would have wanted a faster horse, and so he saw past that and he gave them, a car, right? And so some of that is leadership. You have to see past what we want and see to what the innovation is, right? So very, very good. All right, it is time for our face off, and we will invite our producer extraordinaire, our look at that. Here we
hello.
We go. Oh, hello, Marc. For our audio only listeners, you must explain what Lisa and I are fixing our eyes on right now.
Well, this is the most important story of the day, I believe. The Montreal Canadiens beating the Leafs in Game 1 last night. So, so I think that's why I'm sporting the red today, and it might be the only day I get to do this, because if the Leafs play like they should be, it might be the only win we can get. So,
and all our thoughts and prayers to John Tavares.
Yeah, that was rough.
Well, good for you. I'm a big sports fan, so good for you for laying it on thick. What's the face-off for us today?
Face-off is biomass as a fuel source, pros and cons versus other fuels, I guess, or other options. And Matt, I will allow you to pick heads or tails. I got my quarter here, so here we go. Flips.
Heads.
And it is heads.
All
so
right.
You get the pro or the con. What would you choose?
Oh, well, Lisa always gets this all. I'm going to take the easy one, which is the pros. Lisa.
Uh-oh.
And Lisa's always more prepared, so she gets to go first.
I get to go first? Oya moya. Wow, this is going to be hard. Wow. Okay, how am I going to play this one now? Well, I guess to start, I will preface this by suggesting that biomass. Oh, nice glasses there, Marc. Yeah, you're.
I got to keep my poker face, right? So
love it. So obviously, I'm pro biomass. However, I think the biggest argument that needs to be made on the biomass front is really the sustainability of the fuel, and if you're doing it properly. And one could argue that if it's not done properly, then it's not a great fuel source. So that means making sure that your biomass is in pretty close proximity, ideally, to the facility where you're going to be using it, so you're avoiding other transportation like diesel, for example. Now, if it's hydrogen trucks doing it or something like that, or maybe battery trucks, that might be hard to argue. But also, I think there's the whole piece about planting trees and renewing. You're obviously going to be taking down trees that might be 100 years old or 200 years old. Who knows? And you need to replace that properly, obviously. And then obviously, as more biomass facilities are put in place, the demands for these materials are going to increase. So we have to think about what does that look like in terms of the pressure that it's putting on our natural resources, especially because, unfortunately, climate change is already starting to affect some of those natural resources. Like you think of some of the California fires, right? Now that fuel source is disappearing, right? So yes, there's a lot of it, but we have to manage it properly. And the only other thing we need to keep in mind is, obviously the cost can be pretty expensive initially, and certainly is more expensive than natural gas is currently. And from a space perspective, typically they require quite a bit of space, just because it's not just burning the biomass, but it's the pre-treatment and drying of that material, and just the larger footprint that a lot of those plants require. So keeping all that in mind, if that piece can be done properly, I think it's a pro.
Sorry, so you were asked.
I set you up perfectly there, Matt.
Well, You were asked to argue the cons, and you gave all the reasons, all the ways to make it a pro. So,
well, it's really hard to do it when you don't believe in a con, right?
So you weren't on the debate team in high school, were you? So I won the coin toss and I picked the pros. I mean, here we are in Canada, and we are blessed with number one or number two supply of biomass, woody biomass in the world, and it's it's a real natural resource, and it's widely available. It's the more if and when we manage our biomass resources very well, then we are not only using a fuel that's already available, we are using a fuel that we can replant, and it truly is renewable. We can replant, and and ideally, if we plant ahead of what we consume, we can pull more CO2. So it can be net CO2 negative, and it's 24/7, right? So it's sunny outside now, hence Marc's glasses. Might not be windy, and it's not going to be sunny at night, but biomass is 24/7, right? And biomass has this flexibility. You can burn it and make electricity, or you can put it through a gasifier and you can get gas, or you can, hey, what did we discover very early on as civilization? We discovered fire. Fire was an early form of biomass because we were harvesting the heat. So, it's kind of been around a while. It's got a good track record in that regard. There's a lot of supply. Yes, there's some material handling things to worry about, but there's a lot of benefits that way. Let's not forget about job creation, right? You have, many of us had friends, or we went tree planting. That's a job creator for those of us who are trying to put our way through college, or more importantly, economic development in more rural areas in the north where there is a need for job creation. Yes, you have costs, but you're also, if the economics are there, you're driving money back into a local environment, so that you can, drive development. And, every megawatt, every MMBTU that we're getting out of biomass, we are likely displacing something that's fossil-based where carbon is trapped. And so for a lot of these reasons, I think it's a really good, and there's kind of other stages of biomass, like, you have corn on that screen behind you, Lisa, and when we pull that corn off the field, we leave all that stover there. Yes, it's got some organics for the field, but maybe there's some more biomass we can get there. So there's a lot of different ways we can go with biomass. I think it's a great technology, and Donald Trump will offer to rake your forest floors like they do in Finland to help you with your forest management. So all these pros on biomass.
Wow. All right. Well, although Matt did go over his time, I'm obviously going to have to give Matt had a compelling argument. So Matt takes this one for the face-off.
That's okay. I would have given it to Matt anyways, because I could have argued the pro part obviously a lot better.
Yeah. Well,
I
could have. I mean, I don't remember if you touched on transportation. Like, the big knock is transportation.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I touched on that piece because I think that's the biggest piece. Obviously, you have. Well, and obviously transportation kind of relates to two pieces. It's emissions, but it's also cost, right? Like you have that extra cost, so that's going to inflate your feedstock price. And obviously the emissions front is problematic, unless it's, of course, a vehicle that is using hydrogen fuel cells or, battery storage. Electric buses, that's correct. But hold on, that's assuming that electric bus is being charged by in a geographical area that has green electricity, right?
Yes, that is the assumption. Well, you made the same assumption when you said hydrogen fuel cell. You assumed it was green.
Correct. So. Correct. I did.
You really just wanted to get hydrogen in because it had been 20 minutes and we didn't have hydrogen.
Yeah, that's right. I had to bring it up.
Yes. Well, Marc and Lisa, thank you as always. This is never boring, always fun, and all the best to your Canadiens in your next game. And to both of you, have a great long weekend. And till next roundtable, stay safe, have fun, and long live the Queen, even the dead one. Queen Victoria.
Weekend, everyone.
We're celebrating Queen Victoria in Canada for our American listeners. Have a good weekend. See you guys.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.